All right, welcome Tom Bentey Media Podcast in Homedale, New Jersey at the Bellworks Studio here. Thank you to Ming Chen for setting this all up. And I am here with the cast and crew of Beggarman, a new film that's coming out in September on all major platforms. I had the honor and privilege of seeing it back at the Garden State Film Festival in Cranford in March, and I was just really blown away by it. I mean, just a great New York City film. Gritty, drama, great characters, great story, and I'm really pleased to have the cast and crew here. So why don't we just start with some introductions, your role in the film, and maybe just a little bit about your career, I think would be cool to start with.
And thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Absolute. Oh, left to right, right to left.
Yeah, let's start with Lenny.
So, hey, I'm Lenny Thomas. I play Beggarman, and I'm also the executive producer of the film. My goodness, how did we get here? Seriously, it's been 2 years, over 2 years since we shot this thing. And my goodness, the reception of it, how many years in the making this actually is. This is a fourth film together. This is a monumental time for us right now. So, yeah, I kind of went on a tear.
Frankie Montero. I'm the writer-director of Beggarman. What else was part of the introduction?
Let's start with the.
I don't want to go too crazy.
Yeah.
I'm a talker.
Might as well, exactly. Yeah, we are some talkers.
So I want to control it a little bit, but just to sum it up a little bit.
Hi, I'm Matt Grossman. I'm the head producer on Beggarman. Actor, producer.
Producer.
This guy has 1,000 tentacles because the way he
Yes.
pieced everything together.
Oh.
And I don't know why I use tentacles, but that was
That's okay.
Doctor Octopus.
Independent film, you tend to wear a lot of hats.
Definitely. Let's talk about like the process of making it. And I know, Frankie, you're the writer, director, and it's been 2 years since you started production, but I would imagine it goes back a lot farther than that. And as a filmmaker myself, independent filmmaker, I mean, the dedication that you have to put into the projects and the amount of work that goes into it. You have to be not only passionate, driven, but a little bit insane to do this.
Right.
This is
Well,
this.
We're masochists.
I mean, no,
We're
you could
masochists.
just say outright. You have to be out of your mind.
You got to be out of your mind.
You
You got
gotta
to
be
be
out
out of your mind because it's just such a labor-intensive process to put everything together. So let's start with the beginning. How did this come about?
Well, also, one word that Lenny and I were talking about on the way here is obsessed. You have to be obsessed.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Richard Linklater said that. That's one thing film school doesn't teach, that when you're out, and if you're in acting school, film school, whatever school, if you're pursuing the arts, I think you really have to be obsessed with it.
Definitely.
Not with what's going on.
Yeah.
And, if you're going out Friday night, you got to be obsessed with that. And
It's not a 9 to 5 where you punch in, you punch out. This is your life.
Yeah.
This is your life.
And you got to surround yourself with people that understand that and support that. Family, I'm married with a kid, like they support
Yeah.
me and they don't
You need that
understand
support,
it, but they
Yeah.
support it.
They'll understand soon enough. I can't wait.
yeah, so I mean, basically, so that's where it starts from. Obsession. You're at your day job, you're miserable, and as far as that, and you're looking for a way out, and so it started for me with that drive and wanting to work on something. I think inspiration from the New York 1970s films. They were talking about the subject matters that were happening at that time. I think about a film like Serpico, Taxi Driver. That was about that time. And I don't see a lot of New York films being done about this time period. Spike Lee was the 90s, late 80s, 90s, early 2000s, 25th Hour. Very relevant to those current times. Now, rightfully so, they're not making as many New York films anymore because you have to grow at some point, and Scorsese, Spike Lee, like they branched out to other things, eventually what I like to get to. But right now I feel like I'm in that time where I want to speak about the city. I want to speak about the characters in it in the 2020s, and
the world that you know,
right,
that you grew up in,
exactly.
and that you're a part of right now.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's how it was for the last film. It was like it was a New York film about that time period, heroin in the Bronx, and so basically I started writing the film a couple years, probably 2021, going into 2022, and
So you just had an idea. I want to talk a little bit about your writing process. I'm a writer myself. And
Okay.
I was talking with Matt before the podcast. It's so difficult. It's such, I think it's the hardest thing. I think it's harder than being a director, harder than being an actor, to actually have that discipline to sit down and create something from nothing and to put it together in a story format that is compelling, has themes, has messages, has great characters, has engaging scenes. That's difficult.
That's
So
the
how do
hardest
you go
I
about
can't
it?
do it.
Yet.
So I was watching, observing two homeless guys in Brooklyn, and that's where I got the inspiration for Beggarman and Dave. You know, I saw these guys just kind of like going about their day, hustling, collecting whatever they could, and you know, helping each other out. And I thought it'd be interesting to make a crime thriller, you know, based on a homeless person in New York. You know, I think everyone off the bat would think it's going to be, you know, a real tearjerker, and it is in some ways, you know what I mean. But this was like, I was like, you know, I want to make this character, and basically, your imagination, you know, the '90s. You know, I think about suitcases full of money and you know the prop guns and stuff. It was a big mix of '70s and '90s for me in imagination. And I think for me, writing wise, I watch a great film, or I'll watch my favorite film, and that pushes me to want to write something like that, you know. And you know, obviously, you know, you can't right away, but then I'll take that week or two and you know start thinking about ideas, or try to think about ideas, live life a little bit, and you start hearing people say things, or you could use this and you could use that, and you just start flowing with ideas. Music. For me, ironically weird, but I played the score of Taxi Driver, Bernard Herrmann's score, but like the whole
Entirety?
score. Yeah, like you played it for like an hour straight. I had it on loop while I was writing Beggarman, and I just kind of would listen to music, and then I of course I know Lenny. You know, you're seeing this character, you're seeing the I don't know, and you start kind of seeing it, and you let I think, you know, Quentin said this, it makes sense. It's kind of like when you're a kid and you're playing with action figures, you know, and you're making up the dialogue, and you're making up. That's how it is for me writing. You know, that's the easiest. You can kind of like listen to or like a court stenographer, and you're just letting the imagination play out. And I'm an actor too, so you're kind of improvising these characters in your head. That's how it is for me, I guess. And then I'm just listening to them, and I start writing them down as I'm listening, and then I'll go back and kind of like revise it, you know, afterwards. You let it sink in, but that's pretty much where it comes from. And I think the drive to want to see the movies that I grew up with, because first and foremost I'm a fan, like you said, like a cinephile, you know, and I want that same experience. You know, you see how they're releasing Jaws 50th anniversary, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 35th anniversary, and people are going to be lining up outside of the theater, you know, because they're not making the same movies like that anymore. We need more of that. You know.
Now, do you outline, or do you kind of just, as a writer, or do you just flow?
Both.
Okay, good.
Both.
Cool.
I think some scenes will come to you, and you got to write the dialogue out. I don't know. I have to start writing it, whether it's in my phone or a notepad. And then some things I'll just, like you said, outline. I know I want this to happen. This is the scene. You know, Beggarman enters. It goes to a hotel, and you just. So it's a combination.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And Lenny, I know you have a great career. You've been working as an actor, have a lot of great credits. Talk about
That's fun.
your process and how you came aboard on this project, and how you, because you know, your character in the film, it seems like there's a lot of layers going on there. It seems like there's a lot more than just what we see on screen. Like, and I think that's really great what Frankie did, because a lot of times it's just like a homeless person. But like, what's the story there? And I think you did a great job of really showcasing the layers to the character. So can you talk a little bit about that?
First off, thank you. That means a lot to hear. I jumped on because I wanted to make something dope with my friend. Right? This is the fourth project we've done together, and that it had meaning built into it was just an extra piece of it. You know what I mean? I've been blessed to know this guy, right? He has helped me shape where my career is. I can say that. Why would you want to work with someone else as often as him if every time you work with him, you find a way to win. You always, like, we level each other up, and we're both obsessed, right?
Yeah.
So he had me at hello in the first one. I didn't have to read the script. I was like, nah, we good, we going in. But then I read it, and it just had so many things built into it. You know what I mean? I have a brother who's an ex-Navy SEAL who dealt with homelessness, and you know, I have a father figure who was a Vietnam vet who, you know, is struggling, you know, getting his benefits, and how that world is. I mean, there's over 30,000 homeless vets in this country alone. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, it's really alarming.
yeah.
It's terrible.
And it just so happens, like, through this man's beautiful mind, we can tell a very real story. And I mean, seriously, everything was on the page. And I also remember my brother's stories and what, like, affected him when he was serving, and the things that still wakes him up out of having nightmares. I've woken him up a bunch of times, screaming in his sleep, and he'll wake up crying his eyes out. And we don't hold punches in this movie. We show a lot of that side.
Yeah.
And, you know, then there's the entertainment side of him
Sure.
getting the bag. But if you put yourself in those shoes, how,
Yeah.
what would you
mental
do?
health,
Yeah.
PTSD. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Did you know, like, these stories as you were writing
What do you mean?
with his brother?
People thought it was
Yeah.
that's crazy. People thought that I wrote this and that it was about my brother when he first came to me.
wow.
Yeah.
I didn't.
It's all him.
I didn't know that much. You know, I knew a little bit about his brother. I didn't know that much. With Lenny, I mean, really, like he said, when we can go into later on, but, you know, I knew him now 10 years or more, a little bit more maybe, and I just knew from when I met him that he can carry a feature film, and I wanted to work with him, and that's what he should be doing. You know, I was fighting from about 10 years ago to be a lead in a feature, and so that's where that came from. I think, you know, just knowing what Lenny could do and always, you know, trying to fight for him and get him in there. So that's where that came from. I didn't know, and for me, just a homeless veteran. I had a friend of mine who's a homeless vet, and I would just basically hear these stories, and then I had met a couple homeless vets years ago in when I was acting, and just having conversations with them, and I would be like, man, these guys fought for us. Yeah. And, like, you know, they're begging for money outside of a bar. They can't even get a pair of shoes, and they were in the trenches for us, you know. So it was just very, to me, I wanted to make sure that was the character, that was the lead, you know. And it could be controversial, but, you know, again, that's what's happening now. You don't want to turn your head to that. And I think a lot of people, even when this film came out, a lot of people turned their heads on that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Matt, so you're an actor in the film, cool
Yes.
role as the taxi driver,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
you
It's a lot of
also
fun.
produced.
I did.
So that's a big undertaking. Tell us a little bit about
Sure
that
it is.
process.
Well, it's you know, my first time on the production side, you know, at this level with head producing, and it's a lot of coordinating. You know, I prefer more the creative sides coming from acting and stuff. But it was interesting to see. I equate this to my film school. I didn't go to film school. This was my film school. From beginning of you know, having Letty come to Frankie and say, we want to do that, you know, he wants to do this, let's see what we can do and get it going. The 6 months pre-production of finding locations and hiring actors and doing contracts, and, you know, the DP and all the crew and
You were working
stuff.
with Kim and Ariel.
Yeah, I was working
They
a
were
lot with
two gunners.
the two ADs, Kim and Ariel, who were basically my right hand, doing anything that I couldn't cover. So a lot of our team that we put together, we worked with before. We know that, you know, it's a lot of it is building your team. You know, if you give somebody a you know, a task to do, you don't want to have to follow up on them or keep checking with them or push it. You give it to them, you want to know that it gets done. You know, it makes your life a lot easier and helps you to do what you need to do. But yeah, the 6 months pre-pro, we shot for 3 weeks, running around the city. Permits, some not so permitted. Running and
We have
gunning.
stories.
We got stories. The way that it was done. You know, we shot a little bit here in Jersey.
We knew a couple guys.
We got a guy. Everybody's
over
got a
there,
guy.
Gotta go
over
there.
there.
I got a guy.
And then the post, you know, and then afterwards with editing and music and coloring and sending the hard drive to France to get it colored and not biting your nails as it's over there. Who does that? So, and then now the other side of you know, the marketing and the promotion and stuff, because we're trying to do this full time. We're trying to do this for real. You know, like you know, a lot of respect to people that do it, but we're trying to do this and there's been a lot of eyes on, I think more so now, independent film.
Yeah.
A lot of
I
independent
agree,
films
yeah.
have been getting noticed.
First time in a long time.
Yeah, so it's, we can do a lot with a little less.
Yeah.
But, so that's kind of it. I came in, and then, Frankie was like, hey, you want to try playing this role, Jimmy the Cab Driver? I was like, yeah. Because I whatever. I get picked a lot for like cop stuff. And,
Yeah.
straight
I wonder
edge.
why.
Straight edge, probably the day job. So a lot of straight edge stuff. So I wanted to get a little grimy, little city. City. I went to college in the city, riding the subway and hanging out in the city, and grew up in Queens and Staten Island. And don't hold it against me. And it was the grit of that city. My family's from the Lower East Side. And.
So he's saying he could play anything.
Anything.
No, he said he wanted to be a scumbag. No, I'm
I
sorry.
did. It's more fun to play the bad guys.
I think that's the important thing that the three of us got together off of you're an independent filmmaker yourself.
Yeah.
It's such a crazy game, and David talked about this at Garden State. Like, it's so hard to get a film done. It's so hard to,
brutal.
Even if you finish filming, it's so hard to get it past the finish line in post-production, right?
Yeah.
And
that's when things go to die, typically.
we've been a part of multiple projects that we've tried to get off the ground or we've tried to finish, and we came together on my first feature film, which is called The Operation, and we're trying to get it out on platforms now. But the problem we're having is, it's a black and white, gritty New York independent film with unknowns. So it'll take a little bit, but it'll be out there. The point is that we all came together on that film and we got it done and finished it.
Yeah.
And it took that to show people, hey, we could finish a film no matter what it is. And so many independent filmmakers can't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And especially now, the young filmmakers need to have everything look picture perfect, beautiful, and they need this kind of camera. They think you need to just go shoot it. I mean, how many videos do you see of the greats that keep telling you, just go out and shoot.
shoot
You
it.
have
Go
access,
shoot it.
just go shoot.
Go shoot.
But they get in their head, and this could be your own worst enemy. So that's a big part of this project and the story, is that we all came together on the frustration of being independent filmmakers and we want to get something done, and we keep trying to help people, and we ended up making our own team, and that's how that formed. We were in multiple circles, and we came together and created our own team that happened to work. And
That's also what kind of started
God.
you, I think, as an actor, auditioning for roles and seeing the writing and stuff, and
I could do this. What's
you got
going
to do
on?
make your own work.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to make stuff that, exactly, it's like, for him, for Matt, I was passionate about having them play roles that they wouldn't go out for, and showing them that, we're not just going to go by some casting director and what they say. Like, if you're an actor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point. That's just like, we have this little box and they could play this, and they could play anything. That's the whole point of acting.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to give them opportunities, because you have that fire in you, that passion.
Yeah.
And for me especially, I like to go against the grain. I like
Yeah.
to break the rules a little bit. And so, I was really happy about that, to showcase both of them in those kind of roles.
And to have I'm sorry to
No, go
cut
ahead,
you off.
go
To
ahead.
have longevity in this game, you have to adapt. You have to grow in all the types of ways. This is why when we say you have to be obsessed about this, is because when you are tired as hell, that's when you, by any means, still, it has to be done. So let's try this angle. So let's try this angle. You're just constantly trying to find ways to do this thing more, again and again and again. And it's the same thing with acting. Like, you got to ride momentum. Every time I don't have a job to do, I'm like, oh man, let me go. Because I will drive myself nuts if I don't. Also, the way this world works now, where I could literally have a TV show as my socials, and someone might pay me for it. Listen, that's how obsessed with this I am. I want to be on set all the time.
We want to work.
So we make it for ourselves. So we put ourselves in those positions to attract more of that, and then we get to meet more creatives who expand that. You know what I mean? Like, why would you not want to add more to this? Like, this brings people together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how many people and what they take away from this film. We put everything we had into it. You know what I mean?
It's
Like
a
that-
marathon. It's definitely not a sprint, because there's no quick routes or anything. You just got to do the work. You got to do the work.
It was a roller coaster ride, this film. Really, 3 weeks, like
3 weeks.
19 days.
19? Sheesh.
And it was a lot of night shoots.
A lot of night shoots. Somebody's car went up in flames.
Yeah,
we
a
got
lot
stories.
of overnights. A lot of
We got
overnights.
stories. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
A lot of the people aren't extras. Everyone in there is really is real people. I was saying, when you look at the film, though, that's New York City 2023. Those are the real people back there, even on the subways. I mean, they're out of focus and stuff, but there's some people behind Lenny and some of the actors, and those were real people. And we were shooting at 3, 4 in the morning, and but to me, that's what I love, that you're not seeing the same 50 background actors, and that there's life to it. You know what I mean? And
because New York's really a part of your film. I mean, it's a main character in your film.
Absolutely.
Every time you film in New York, as a lot of other New York filmmakers have said, I mean, it's a part of your film.
Yeah,
It
you
is the
can't-
character.
You don't need to set dress it.
You can't replicate that in
No.
a studio or somewhere else. You just
It just doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right.
yeah, and I wanted to pick some of the older locations that still exist. That you don't really see on some of the New York shows and films that they do, and.
Not as clean.
Yeah, exactly,
Not as
exactly.
pretty.
And getting some of those, faces. I talk about the '70s and the '90s. That was a big part of it too. I think they had some great locations in those time periods. So Chinatown, when we went down there, I mean, it looks straight out of an '80s movie. There's some great blocks down there that you could film.
God,
I mean, it's
Great shots.
Seriously. Oof.
yeah.
But I think what you guys are doing and what I'm doing is like, this is the future of cinema, is the independent human stories that you're bringing to an audience directly, going to be on all the platforms, and you have an opportunity with social media to promote it, to tell more about the story, to have the audience get more invested in what you're doing, because they're hungry for that. Like when you go to film festivals like Garden State, I mean, people are hungry for these independent stories. Yeah, there's a room and a time and a place for Superman and the big budget stuff, but that human story from the, like we were talking about the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, like people still long for that. And this is what we're all trying to do as independent makers, is really just bring that story directly to the audience.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why there can't be room for everything. I mean, look, you could have these movies in the '90s. I keep bringing up that decade because we had Batman films, we had big budget blockbusters, and we were still able to go see a movie like Clerks, or you ever go see a movie like Empire Records, or hangout movies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where not everything has to be John Wick. And it's like, I love those movies. We had movies like that all day. I love action. I love superhero. But there has to be, a blend. That's one thing that I was taught as a kid. I wasn't just like, I want to go see these big blockbusters all the time. I loved seeing hangout movies or road trip movies, or just, because that was a slice of life at the same time.
And they still turn a profit. The
It shows
business
you.
side, you're still doing what you want to do
Yeah.
and can live. That's the
Producer's
thing.
mind
There
thinking
you
right
go,
there.
always. The bottom line, the dollar.
The trouble is
I'm
now
trying
they just see, the studios see how many millions that they're making off these big franchises, and then they don't even want to take any risk or put out. But I think that we're seeing the pendulum swing back a little bit.
Yeah,
I can see
do.
it. You see it even with movies like F1 that have come out and stuff like that. It's like
The Holdovers was a big one.
Yeah.
That was, a couple of years ago. That was a small independent, great acting, great story, and it did amazing.
Yeah. Because if you have a lower budget, $2 million budget, you get some tax incentives, so now you get 30% of that back, 35% of that back. I mean, you can make a profit on that. That's
Exactly. You don't need
realistically
to spend the
make a
$800 million to
profit.
make this
Yeah.
huge, CGI and names and stuff. Well, names always put people in seats, but CGI and effects and stuff, you can do something for a crazy amount as long as the people have that drive and are willing to put themselves out there and, work a little harder to get it to make an amazing story like we did, amazing movie that all the feedback is, how did you do this on your budget? Like, how? It's impossible. It's not impossible. You just got to hustle.
You gotta hustle.
You got to put the work in,
Yeah.
Owning a lot of the equipment is also really
Oh, that helps. Yes. in over time.
Yeah.
Definitely
useful
helps.
stuff.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about like going way back. We're talking about older films, 70s, 90s. Like, I got into this because I just loved the way I felt when I would go to a movie, watch it at home. I mean, just the storytelling, the artist nature, the themes. Like, these are films that will resonate with me for the rest of my life. Things that I've seen as a kid, you know, whether it be Jaws, Back to the Future, you know.
My son's favorite.
Taxi,
My son's 11,
yeah.
and he started with like, you know, the newer version of Ghostbusters. I said, no, you got to go back. You got to go back. So now he's coming from the 80s and coming up, and you know, less effects, more story.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
it
Start him at the beginning. Thank you.
You got
Yeah,
to
Thank
you know, the new Karate Kid. No, go back. You know, like.
And I just love the way
films.
it makes you feel, right?
Yes,
you know,
yes. And that's the thing about theater as well,
Yeah.
like movie theaters. That
Yeah.
it's not just the movie;
Yeah.
it's
it's
the
the
whole
experience. It's
Yeah.
the experience.
Getting
yeah.
away from the world for 2
Exactly.
hours or whatever.
Exactly.
Having your goobers or whatever.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is, and
exactly.
Hanging out and enjoying a film and coming out and talking about it, sharing with other people, and telling them about it.
Exactly. So how'd you get into it? Like, how did you get into this acting,
It's
producing?
a long story. So
When I was 11 years
when
old.
I was, well, yeah. So I almost as a kid, high school and college, I did like theater and stuff. I was, athlete, blew my knee out, whatever. But I always had the art side. Music was big in my family growing up. I'm a drummer. I was in bands, always on stage and stuff. And then theater in high school and college, and then kind of got talked out of it by society, family, whatever. Like, oh, what are you going to go do acting for? And blah, blah, blah. It's so hard. Yeah, it is. But
everything's hard.
What is it?
Right?
Somebody once told me, nothing good is easy.
Yeah,
But
Nothing
wait,
worth good is easy.
Not to sidetrack, but this is just
Life.
like a theoretical discussion. But like people say, oh, like acting's so hard. You think becoming a school teacher is that easy?
Right.
Working
No,
at Wawa is that
right.
easy? Like
None of it.
you think your
It's
job's
different-
not on the line
different
every
levels.
single day?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like everything has its challenges.
Exactly. Doctors,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's
And
hard.
if you want to do it well, it has to be hard.
It has
Yeah,
to be.
it's
hard.
got it right. It's
Yeah.
not
It's not the way the
nothing.
universe works. right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sweat equity is the
Yeah.
only way forward.
Yeah.
We're learning. So that, and then whatever, went on with life. I went into law enforcement. I've been doing that for about 22 years now. But a few years back, unfortunately, my dad passed away suddenly. So I kind of took inventory. He was a funny guy. Like we always said, oh, you should go do stand-up. He's the life of the party. Everybody loved him. So he passed away suddenly, and it was a hard time. I kind of took inventory. What's the thing at the end of the road that you wish you would have tried? And acting and filmmaking and stuff like this, getting back into the arts was it. So I got back into, music, playing the drums, teaching myself guitar, stuff like that, listening to music, seeing films. And I have a good friend that's an actor, career actor. He's amazing. Sat down with him at like a, party or barbecue or something and said, hey, what's it take? I'm not looking to be famous, background, this and that. He goes, background's one thing, all due respect.
Yeah.
But and he would always ask me about my job, what I did at work and stuff, which I guess he was interested in because it was different. And then he kind of like blew me off, which I understand. Not blow me off, but
Say, go screw
a
yourself.
lot of people, come even to me and say, "Oh, you're an actor. I could do that."
I can't stand
it's
that,
not
by the way.
easy.
That's for everybody. We hate that.
It's
So we
not
hate
easy.
that.
Yeah.
Because if you can, please do it. I want to see it. No, I want to see it.
I would love it.
I would really love to see.
But it's so I think that was kind of, and then a couple months later, I was like, no, I've been thinking about this. Like, I'm not looking to be famous. I just make a couple of bucks. A lot of people I knew had side gigs and hustles and stuff, and just something to make a couple extra bucks. I have a family, extra money helps. So you serious? Yeah. So then he took me under his wing and introduced me to his agent. Sat down, talked to her. She was like, "This is great, but can you act?" I'm like, So she had me do like a self-tape at home. I sent it to her. She goes, "Okay, I'll start putting you out." And then, the rest is history.
That's
it's all
great.
on my
That's
IMDb.
awesome.
You just said, I want to go get that, and you went and got it. That's beautiful.
that's
No,
awesome.
that's always the way that I've kind of been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I
You
don't
work. You put the
yeah,
work
you
in.
work.
Yeah.
You hustle. You see it. You see that goal, and you
Yeah.
can't get swayed.
Yeah.
Naysayers push me
Yeah.
harder. You
Yeah.
know, like it's.
It's relentless.
It's taking
Yeah.
time to get to that,
Relentlessness.
but
Yeah.
but yeah.
It reminds me of a speech. I don't know if you've seen it. Jim Carrey gives a commencement speech, I think in 2014.
Oh yeah.
At Maharashi University, and he talks about his father, and he says, "My father was much funnier than I
funnier,
was, and he had this great talent, this great ability, but he took the easy way. And at midlife, 50 years old, all of a sudden, as an accountant, he loses his job, and it was like you could fail at what you did not want to do.
Right.
And I always remember that speech.
Wow.
Because
That's
it's really profound. Because like we were talking about, everything has challenges. You have to put your passion into something that you really believe in.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's huge.
That is huge. Wow. Yeah. I remember that, and feeling like, okay, well, I'm almost 40. Let's listen.
So
I know what it's like to not have anything. I might as well go for all of it.
Well, how'd you get into this craziness, this
Ooh.
artistry?
I've always been some kind of, I like telling jokes or, making people laugh, people feel great because life always felt so freaking hard. And I'm like, why don't people treat each other better? I hate this. So I would make jokes and try to lighten moods, and it just became something others saw, and they would nudge me towards, further pursuing it. Like, it wasn't until high school that my English teacher pulled me to the side after seeing me in a play. He was like, you could really do this seriously. And no adult had ever spoken to me like that in my life up until that point. So I took it seriously. 2 years later, I'm taking acting classes, and I keep hearing the same thing over and over and over again. I'm like, oh, it's not, I'm good at something. I mean, because seriously, all my life, I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do.
Yep.
School taught me how to be social more than it actually taught me how to be, functional and find out how to XYZ. I know how to get a job. There were those things, but I had no interest in those, so I wasn't curious. Your curiosity is going to lead you somewhere. It leads you, I think, to what you're passionate about or why you get to be here. So my curiosity led me to acting, right? And then I was like, if I just do this for the rest of my life, I don't care if I'm broke, right? Because I fell in love with it as soon as I kept seeing that, and I stopped just believing what other people said, and I started believing I could actually do it. It just kept going, and I still cannot believe this is my life, and I'm just getting started. Are you?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm picking up speed as far as like the ways I want to expand, the ways I want to bounce these blessings as I'm aiming for more blessings. Like seriously, to go from really hating life to wanting to live so bad, it shows up in my work. I hope. Like that's a win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I got these guys to share it with.
That's awesome.
What? I'm blessed, bro. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
How about you,
Oh,
sir?
absolutely.
How did you get into all this filmmaking,
all this stuff.
get into this crazy life?
Well, it's like what he's saying too. But I get to, for me, I think I realized my purpose in life. It's just some weird feeling. So when I was a kid, I loved movies. And at a young age, I'm talking, 4 or 5 years old, I wanted to make movies.
Wow. 4
Yeah,
or 5 years
yeah,
old. Wow.
yeah.
What was the first
That-
movie you saw in the theater, if you don't mind me asking? Remember?
Super Mario Brothers with John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins
Oh, snap.
at United Artists on Central Avenue in Yonkers. I remember.
Shout out to John Leguizamo. Because
Mine was Rocky IV, Christmas '85.
Wow, that's a good one. That's a good
Mine
one.
was Gremlins and
That's a good one.
UA and Jamaica. No, Cross Bay Boulevard.
Oh
in
wow.
Queens.
Mine's
Wow.
Menlo Park Mall when the theater was on the other side of the.
He has us topped with
He-
Rocky
well,
IV.
he-
I mean,
That's
Mike,
good.
for that to be your first film,
Any
lucky.
of the Rockies. I mean,
Lucky.
Insane.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good point.
There was something, I don't know, there's something about movies that were very magical to me. It hit me, and so I don't know. I mean, look, I'm just telling you this stuff in retrospect, right? Like I would collect magazines that had a lot of behind the scenes photos and stuff. So I'd see all these images from sets in movies in the 90s, and then I came out of Jumanji. It was 1995, and I come out of Jumanji, and where I was upstate, and there was a store outside of we were in this mall. It was a United Artists Theater, and to the left there was this old store called Suncoast. And I don't know if you remember.
Suncoast?
Yeah. And I remember Suncoast. And so we go in there, and lined up along the top walls were all black and white photos of everyone. I'm talking about like from Denzel in the 90s to a picture of Clint Eastwood in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with the cigar. So you're just seeing all these stars all the way back to Cagney. And I'm just seeing all this stuff, right? So I come out of Jumanji, and they were selling these little black and white slates, like the clappers, the mark, and I asked my dad to buy me a slate because it's a funny story, I saw in one of the magazines a guy in AC holding the slate in front of the big Panavision camera, and I told my dad, you need that to make a movie. I didn't know what it was, but I was like, I seen this, I was like, you need that. I was like, I need that. I don't know, I saw them,
I don't know, but I need it.
So I remember he bought me that, and it was this black and white wooden, souvenir, and so that was the start of it. Looking back, you think about that, and I remember when that same time when they did Batman Forever, and I was looking at how the sets were being built and the Bat caves and stuff. I was really interested in it. It was crazy, and I was asking family members that were carpenters, to build me these sets, and they were looking at me like I was crazy. So that's really where it came from. I tried to put on my own productions as a kid, and I'd build my own sets and stuff with my cousin. I'd make all my cousins dress up, during the holidays. That was my big production. I'd say use my family as an audience. Like, this is my time now to put on my production, and my cousins hated it because I'd make them dress up and stuff. And you got to play this, you got to play this, and then
a director.
Yeah.
And I don't realize that, I'm doing all this stuff, and basically, you hit it. I hit a time around middle school where, I just cared more about the social, and I cared more about hanging out and girls, and it's
middle
like
school,
you're
13 years old,
and going out with the
Hormones,
guys and all this stuff. So it was completely. So I love movies, but that part fizzled out. Even just knowing what I wanted to do when I was older was boring. It was all about living life, which did help out later on as an actor, as a writer. I was living and experiencing, observing crazy characters in my neighborhood. But long story short, I was like, that's not for me. I was not in the drama club. I was not in the theater and stuff like that.
In high school.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And very similar with him. I remember my teacher made me stand up and read a part from A View from the Bridge. And I was very embarrassed, and I was looking around. I'm trying to be cool, and I'm like, I don't want to read this stuff and do this. And, but I guess he saw an interest or whatever, and I didn't really think anything of it. And then I was very much getting into trouble, and I was in the streets. I dropped out of high school. It was not a good time. And I literally would be at my friend's house watching VHSs, and watching movies. So one day I got really tired of living that kind of life. I think it gets very stressful. You're always looking over your shoulder if you're doing things, and I started realizing how much I love movies and acting, and I felt like I got bit by the bug at that time, and so I pretty much just said I'm not gonna do this anymore, and I'm gonna go broke, and I just felt this passion, like he said, and I went and auditioned for Stella Adler Studio. It's a conservatory in New York, and I knew nothing about theater or film. I did a monologue from Reservoir Dogs, and I was pressing rewind and pausing on the DVD and writing it out myself.
Nice.
And
That's what's up.
That's cool.
and that's pretty much what I did to get into the school. But that's how it started, and I said from here on out I'm gonna stick with this. Like he said, if I go broke, I looked back and said, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I never felt like that. I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. I didn't want to just settle. A lot of people from my neighborhood, they would say I could have took the test and been a garbage man or a city worker and all this stuff. But I have a lot of energy. I needed more, and I'd rather just die trying, doing what I know, like, this is my purpose. You know what I'm saying? Than to just, so.
A lot of respect for that.
It's the journey that led here, pretty much. Thank you.
Wow. Very interesting. So I understand you got another project that you're in the works with.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about it. It's called Tempt Fate, and it's a crime thriller. I wrote that before Beggarman. Actually, pretty funny. The pandemic, I was going out of my mind.
Like a lot of people were.
I think we all were.
What a strange
recurring
time.
theme here, right?
Just think 5 years ago. Very different world. Very different world.
Yeah, wow.
See, with the obsession in me, I said back in 2020, 2021, I'm like, okay, well, we're going to be inside all day. I have to come out of this with a couple scripts. There's no way I'm not going to come out of this with nothing to show for, and I have to at least do that. And so I was writing. I wrote that first, and I was using a lot of personal experiences between Lenny and myself and some of the backstory. But so it's about a young black actor, and he's traveling to a new movie that he's shooting, and a bunch of craziness happens along the way. And I don't want to go too much into it, but right now we have that in the works as pre-production. Lenny's going to star in it as a young actor, Calvin Davis. We have another really great actor, Derek Hinkey. He's attached to it. He's an American Primeval on Netflix, Dark Winds. So he's going to play the hitman in it. And basically, it's like Deliverance meets No Country for Old Men. You know, neo-Western, very much, if you know the writings of like Elmore Leonard, you know, Mr. Majestic, it's a neo-Western kind of world. And again, from my love of the 70s and 90s films, you know, this has a lot of Coen brothers, Quentin, a lot of that inspiration into the film, you know, so going to be much different than New York. We're traveling out there into the deep South, but it's gonna be another wild ride. It keeps you on the edge of your seat for sure.
Cool. Oh, yeah.
Exciting
Sounds
stuff.
cool.
Yeah,
Sounds a little like Sinners without the zombie element.
yeah. I mean, that was a whole different, a very original piece, whole different
Yeah.
thing, you know. But
Yeah.
but not a period. It's not a period.
Okay.
It takes
Okay.
place. It takes place now. Modern.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's basically using the trip to get into character. You know, he's got to shoot a movie in Atlanta, and his agents want him to take a flight. You know, but he wants to drive and take that time to really find who he's playing.
Yeah.
You know, but anything can happen while you're out on the road. You know, so
It's a ballsy move.
yeah.
cool.
So
Especially as a black
this
man.
one is.
He must really
South.
need this trip.
Yeah. But very much suspense thriller, you know,
Cool.
and right now we're just in the works of getting the money together and figuring out timelines and stuff like that, scheduling, you know, and trying to get a couple other, you know, big names on board. So
Sounds great. Sounds
Yeah.
like a really cool project.
We're
Very
excited.
cool.
Definitely,
And
definitely.
Matt and I were talking before. I mean, you guys just have this great crew of people that you're
Yeah.
working with continually. And Matt was saying, like, it's about just having a group that you can trust, that you just like being around, that you're
Yeah.
friends with.
Good people. There's
good
enough,
people.
Yeah,
good
there's
people.
enough. There's enough. You know, unfortunately, in any industry, you have people that are taking advantage of others. And then, at Frankie and I have spoken before about every project or thing you do or group you meet, you take one or two from there that like become part of the family, the circle,
Yeah,
so to say.
right.
You know, you work with people, and some people see things as just a job, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
But when we're trying to build something, you need people that are obsessed, so to say,
Yeah.
that are about the whole, not just the part, you know. So yeah, I think we've developed a great family team type thing and we're all excited to work on the next one together
Yeah.
and you know have a little more budget to push things off to other people that you trust to take care of things so that we can have a little more fun and enjoy and you know our DP Michael Lyons mentioned this while we were filming Beggarman. You know, I had a lot going on. I was everywhere taking care of thinking of this and this. He said, make sure you stay in the monitor. Like get in the monitor because this is what it's about. Everything is for what's in that frame, right? And that's where it counts. So I need
Very
to
much.
remind myself to keep you know my eyes on what it's about, like
Yeah.
the creative part.
And the support system, you know, it took us a long time to
100%.
find this team,
Yeah.
and even my wife is a producer on Beggarman. She produced the next one. You know, that helps out a great deal.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know a lot of people that, you know, I've been with her 8 years, and she's a partner. You know, I can go out and as far as movies, I could do whatever I want. You know, and seriously, I mean, you can't find that.
Yeah.
You know, I could be
Yeah.
days in the editing studio. Days.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, and she supports that. She's on the phone with him. She's on the phone with the first AD. You know, I feel very lucky in that sense that we found this team
Yeah.
and we have that. You know, it's a lot that I know it's a lot to deal with me. Because I'm 24/7, you know, where I'm 3 o'clock in the morning, and
Yeah.
I'm figuring out when are we shooting this
Yeah.
movie. You know, it's like that's the truth about myself, and you know, so again, just having this team that we found, our editor Justin Booker. These are people that aren't here. I like to bring up these people because they're not always in front of the camera or on the interviews and stuff like that. And but these people help the vision come to life, and they make it easy. You know, my editor, you can call him up and he's there. You know, and he's on the premise and he's dumping the footage and we're doing stuff. So when you have that kind of, it took a while to get to that. I mean, I can't tell you how many editors I went through. You know, and it's a lot even for me to be over their shoulder. You know, I'm old school. There's a new school. Like these editors today are very finicky, and you know they want to do their thing, and that's fine. But then there's a time where the director has to come in, you know, and he's very collaborative in that
That's
sense,
good.
you know, and all these people. So if we didn't have that, they are what makes us stronger. Same with Kim Flores, the first AD. Like all these people are what makes us stronger because it's loyalty, you know, and they
Eddie
want to work
Garcia,
on these projects.
and Eddie as well.
Yes.
has been coming in and just it is amazing to have a good team that, like I said, you can pass thing off and know it's getting taken care of. You don't have to keep checking on them. Okay, this is too much for me. You do this, and they'll do it the same way you would, with the same enthusiasm, the same.
They're about the work.
But they're about the work.
Need that.
The whole thing. And as Frankie, mentioned his wife, I got to mention mine so I don't get in trouble. She didn't marry somebody in this field. She married. I had to have a good job and work for the government, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. She didn't marry an artist. She sees me on the phone.
Wait a minute.
Well,
Right? She goes,
didn't
wait
know.
a minute. What
She didn't
happened?
know. Yeah.
He was lying.
I was
It's
like,
crazy.
I hooked her.
I found out. I knew it.
But she sees how much goes into it with how we're on the phone. Who you on the phone with? Who you think I'm on the phone with? I'll give you one guess. It's either Frankie or his wife Ariel or Lenny or somebody.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Working on the film. What are we doing? What do you think we're doing? My wife's in this film. She's not an actress.
Yeah.
She didn't want to do it. She's like, all right. She's in it. I'm like,
Keep it in the family.
that's it.
You got something for
And
the
she had a
rest.
good time, and,
Yeah.
and she's gotten to hang out and see how we are together as a family and a team and understand and
Yeah.
get it. She gets it. Her family too are artists. Her brother's a photographer, graffiti artist, like does crazy things. My other brother-in-law is, does music producing and stuff, and so she gets it.
Yeah.
And,
That's good,
and,
yeah.
having that support. I
Yeah.
mean, otherwise. You're fighting the film and the guys you're
Yeah.
working with, and you're fighting at home.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
What
And
are
a
you
lot
gonna
of
do?
time, in my experience, like if you're not involved in this world, like people
You don't
just
get it.
don't get it.
No.
They
Yeah,
just
no,
and they don't
you-
want to get it.
They like to
can't.
see when you
Yeah.
do
They
things.
think
They're like,
you're
oh, that's
crazy.
cool, but
Yeah.
they don't understand what
They don't
they see the
understand
end product.
the insanity.
Talking a whole other
Yeah.
language sometimes, and it's like
Yeah.
I catch myself, because not my brother streams. He streams his game sessions right on Twitch. Like he's been doing that for years. He has his own setup, and it's beautiful. So that's like as far as the entertainers go in our family. It's him and I really. Everyone else they do their own thing. But to see what you call it, people try to understand
Oh yeah, they try.
what it takes and why you have to do these things. No one ever really, you can't explain it. They have to sit with it and in it to really glean, because it doesn't make sense. I think that's what it really boils down to, and yet we still keep doing
Yeah.
it.
And
There's nothing safe about
There's
it.
nothing.
No,
That's
and I'm
what it
thankful
is.
to these guys and to Frankie and Lenny for trusting me
Yeah.
that I've never done this before. Like I've had ideas and I've helped a little bit on the back end with the operation because Frankie, we met trying to get another project off the ground, and he hired me to be an actor in the operation. And
Then he
I helped
ended
a
up
little
coming
bit
on
the back end.
producer in
Yeah,
the
towards
last
the
half
back
of the
end.
film.
Right, exactly, with music rights and stuff because I know some people in the music industry. So he came to me with this. I was like, yeah, but I don't have a lot of time and this and that. He's like, oh, don't worry, it won't be that much. But
2.5 years
Two and
later.
a half years later, every day of my life. But
Hostage for 2.5
but the
years.
trust, the trust that he had, and being that our names on it, like you're gonna go balls to the wall with it. You're gonna do everything you need to do at any time to make sure that number one, Lenny comes out on top. Frankie comes out on top. Everybody gets recognized.
Peter Green comes on top.
Peter Green. Everybody
Yeah.
just.
Yeah.
'Cause all that matters is
We got stories.
So what?
yeah.
So the film's coming out in September. What
Yes.
day?
September 5th.
September 5th, right
September
around
5th.
Labor Day. Was that? Is that
Yeah,
Labor Day?
that's
yeah,
the,
right around there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right
Where-
before. It's Friday, right? Friday,
I think
September
Labor Day
5th?
this week's before.
Oh, snap, look
It's
at
actually
that.
my anniversary.
Oh wow.
So there's that.
there's that.
There's
dates
that.
with everything. Yeah, September 5th, Amazon and most local cable providers.
Oh, it's be on VOD.
Yeah,
Oh, very
VOD,
cool.
FiOS, Comcast, I think. all
Very
those
cool.
two.
It's after Labor Day.
After Labor Day.
Pre-release, it's available August 22nd if you want to rent or buy on Fandango.
Fandango. If you really want to
Cool.
get the jump on.
Yeah.
I know you've been waiting so
I
long.
know you want to.
Yeah.
Don't play. You know
Well, I
you-
highly
That's fun,
recommend
too.
it. I mean, I thought it was just really
Thanks.
well done
Thank
and just that great New York story. Just that
thank
great
you.
New York story that we
Thank
don't
you.
see that much anymore that we saw in the 70s and
Right.
in older films, but
Yeah.
we just don't see that modern New York story the way that we used to. And I really applaud you.
Thank
and
you so much. Thank you for coming.
yeah,
Thank you for,
Yeah, it was
for,
great.
No, this
for
was
the
great,
opportunity.
and just I know what goes into it. So nothing but love and respect for you guys, and wish
Same
you
here.
all the best
Same here.
with the future projects. And people, you got to check out this film. This is cool. We have to support independent artists because there's so much that goes into it, and
People don't realize.
people don't realize. You just see the end product and
Right.
and social media posts, but there's so much labor involved, and all the fires that arise, pre-production,
We
production,
got
post-production.
stories. We got stories.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. I really wish that there was, and maybe we'll create it one day. But we just need more eyes on independent films. Whether they have names in it or not. These are stories. These are projects people worked on years out of their life, and just
Yeah.
kind of try to take a look at it in that sense. I think the problem is like we have so much content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just anybody could do it. And I think that's the problem because you have
Some
anybody, and you have
Well, that's
someone
the
who.
problem and the solution
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
same
right.
time.
A lot of
Yeah.
noise.
So there's a fine line. There's a fine
Yeah.
line, but I would just say to people, just give it a shot, though. Like just give it a shot.
And we're thankful for you having us here.
This is great. Yeah, this is awesome.
this
Yeah,
is
thank you
awesome.
so
It's a
much.
good
Of
time.
course.
And thank you to Ming Chen and
Yes, the
Shared
man.
Universe
Shout out to Ming.
The man.
podcast.
Shout
So.
out to Ming.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for the
Yeah.
time, guys.
Good times, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely.